For much of the 20th century, two superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, shaped global affairs. Russia, as the Soviet Union's core, stood at the center of this rivalry. Their competition influenced politics, science, and the lives of billions. Today, the Soviet Union is gone and Russia's role has changed dramatically. Once a leader of a global bloc, Russia is now a major power in a more complex world. This transformation is rooted in ambition, internal pressures, and dramatic change. Understanding Russia's journey from superpower to major power reveals much about today's global landscape. We'll explore the height of Soviet power, the internal challenges that led to its decline, and the events that reshaped the world order. Russia's story is one of transition, from dominating half the globe to navigating a multipolar world. By tracing this path, we see how Russia's powerful legacy shapes its current place in the 21st century. After World War II, the Cold War began, a tense rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. Each led opposing blocs. The US promoted capitalism and democracy, while the Soviet Union championed communism. Their competition spanned politics, alliances, and technology, dividing the world into two camps. The space race symbolized their technological contest, with the Soviets launching Sputnik and the US landing on the moon. Militarily, both built massive nuclear arsenals, creating a dangerous balance known as mutually assured destruction. This arms race kept the world on edge, with the threat of nuclear war ever present. The Cold War shaped global affairs for decades, even as direct conflict was avoided. The world lived under the shadow of superpower rivalry and the constant risk of catastrophe. This era defined the 20th century's international order. The Soviet Union's superpower status relied on military strength and heavy industry. Enormous resources went to building tanks, missiles, and a vast military presence, but this focus came at a cost. Consumer goods were scarce, and living standards lagged behind the West. The centrally planned economy excelled at large projects but struggled with innovation and efficiency. Ordinary citizens faced shortages and poor quality goods. The arms race drained resources, leaving little for infrastructure or social needs. By the 1980s, the economy stagnated and the gap with the West widened. Supporting allies in the war in Afghanistan added to the strain. Beneath its powerful image, the Soviet system was eroding from within. By the mid-1980s, crisis gripped the Soviet Union. Mikhail Gorbachev's reforms, glasnost and perestroika, aimed to revitalize the system but unleashed forces he couldn't control. Openness led to rising nationalism and demands for independence across the republics. Economic reforms brought confusion and hardship, deepening public dissatisfaction. Communist regimes in Eastern Europe collapsed, and the Soviet grip weakened. In 1991, a failed coup and political chaos led to the Soviet Union's dissolution. Republics declared independence and the Soviet flag was lowered for the last time. The superpower era ended abruptly, replaced by a fragmented post-Soviet landscape. Russia emerged from the collapse, facing a new and uncertain future. The Soviet collapse created 15 new countries, with Russia inheriting most of the military and nuclear arsenal, but Russia was now smaller, with fewer people and lost territories. The 1990s brought economic chaos, hyperinflation, unemployment, and a sharp drop in living standards. State assets were sold off, enriching a few while millions struggled. Russia's global influence faded as former allies turned to the West. NATO and the EU expanded eastward, isolating Russia further. The military declined, with outdated equipment and low morale. Russia was no longer a superpower, but a weakened state searching for its place. It had to rethink its strategy in a world where it was just one of several major powers. The Cold War's end transformed global politics. The world shifted from two superpowers to a unipolar moment dominated by the United States. Alliances realigned, and NATO expanded into former Soviet territory, alarming Russia. The clear East-West divide gave way to a multipolar world with new centers of power. China's rise, the European Union's integration, and growing influence from India, Brazil, and Japan changed the landscape. Russia remained important due to its size, resources, and nuclear arsenal, but had to adapt. International relations became more unpredictable, with shifting coalitions and new challenges. Russia now had to compete and cooperate with multiple powers to protect its interests. The era of superpower rivalry was over. A complex, multipolar world had arrived. In 2026, Russia is no longer a global superpower, but it remains a major force. Its military, especially its nuclear arsenal, ensures its voice is heard in global security. Russia has modernized its armed forces and asserts influence in regions like Eastern Europe, in the Middle East. Its economy relies on vast natural resources, especially oil and gas, giving it leverage over energy-dependent nations. However, dependence on commodities makes Russia vulnerable to global price swings. Compared to the US, China, and the EU, Russia's economy is smaller and less diversified. The Soviet Union's collapse ended its superpower era, but Russia still commands respect. Today, it is a formidable nation, one pole in a multipolar world. Russia's legacy and resources ensure it remains influential, even as the world around it has changed. Its journey from superpower to major power is a defining story of our time. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching.